Hey guys, today I am jumping on the bandwagon. Lots of people that I follow on YouTube have been pointing to a particular video by Treasure Books, I believe is the name. I'll link the video to an iCard up there, for making handmade paper, and I just thought it looked so cool. I did this, God, probably 15-20 years ago, and I thought, oh, I'm going to try this again. It looked like so much fun, and so I just gathered a bunch of stuff here, and I've got just some pieces of paper, like copier weight paper, but they are colored and have speckles. If you can see that, they're like a parchment looking paper almost, with the speckly stuff on it. I have some napkins. I have a variety of fibers, and then I have some tea bags that are dry, and then I took an Old Spice jar shaker thingy, you know, spice like you get from the store, and just went through. It needed to be done anyways. I went through my spices, and there were so many that were just old and needed to get pitched. So I just made a kind of a medley of different dried spices, different colors and textures and whatever. So I just put them in a shaker jar, and I thought that would be convenient. And you'll see, if you aren't familiar with this technique, you'll see what I'm going to do with that, with all of this. So I'm just going to clear my spot off here, and I'll be back and we'll get started. I'll take you step by step through this process. To start, you need a mixture of 3 parts of a PVA glue, like an Elmer's glue wall. Don't use school glue. Just a regular Elmer's glue will work, any PVA glue. So you need 3 parts of that to 1 part water. So I'm just going to eyeball it here. I have these little disposable cups that I like to put my matte medium in to work from. So if half is 3 parts, I don't know. Just some watered down glue. I'm just going to add some water to this. Alright. Hopefully that's runny enough. Probably could have put it in a bigger container and would have made it easy on myself for mixing, but, or put less glue. We'll manage. I'm going to get this mixed up. Okay, that's all mixed up. I made a big mess and got it all over my hands, so I did have gloves out, but yeah, never mind. I'm not doing that. So to start with, you're just going to cover your paper with the glue mixture. Obviously this is a messy process, so if you don't like to get messy, probably not the project for you, but messy is my middle name. I'm forever messy. And obviously probably cardstock, which I think is what I used back in the day when I did this. The gal on the YouTube video just used regular paper weight, like copier weight paper, but it is curling, so let me try and stick it flat a little bit to the mat if I can. And then you're going to need a napkin separated. So I'm just going to sprinkle my different herbs You can use dried flower petals, which I don't have any of, but if you have, or even like the dried flowers that you get from the craft store or whatever. I'm going to open this tea bag up. This is one of those celestial seasoning tea bags, so you're going to have to, I'm going to have to pull it apart. Maybe I'll just cut down the edge to save the time, because I want to use this paper too, but I'm going to put some of this tea on here because it gives a nice dark. This was sleepy time tea, so it makes a rather kind of light colored brewed tea. So obviously if you had like an Earl Grey or a black tea, you're going to get a different color. I have some rosemary in here. I have parsley, just a lot of stuff. I'm going to put some fibers in here too. So I just have some pieces of string off of some cheesecloth that I dyed. So I'm just going to let that fall in there kind of randomly. You don't want anything that's going to be sticking up too much. You want it to be able to flatten out. I have some turquoise burlap, and I'm just kind of snipping the very edges of that frayed part off onto my paper. I have a feeling my glue is drying. Seems like I may be taking too long. We'll see what happens. Or maybe I should have put more glue on. I just want a little bit of that turquoise on there. And then I have some of this yarn. Actually, I think I'm going to use this one. It's got some different colors in it. This, it's not eyelash yarn. I don't know what kind of yarn it is. It's got loops on it. So I'm just going to cut some of that fuzz off of there. The different colors. I kind of like this charcoal color. And just let that fall into the glue. Just here and there. Don't need a ton of it. Ow, I just hit my finger. I'm not bleeding yet, but I might. I have some lighter blue cheesecloth that I just dyed with acrylic paint. I'm going to pull some strings of that out too. They're just going to kind of appear, I think, white on this paper. What else do I have? Oh, I have some Angelina fibers. I'm going to stick those in there. I don't know whether they'll end up showing up or not. They're kind of a metallic. Oh, here I can show you. A sparkly metallic. I have blue and silver and white and this kind of magenta color. So since this base paper was kind of a mauve color. Alright, that's enough. And I separated my napkin. I don't know if you can see, but there's a tiny bit of the ink from the napkin still showing on there. So let me get this stuff out of the way here. I want some of that on there. And then I'm just going to spread this across the paper. Kind of push it down into whatever glue is still wet. And if you get any pieces of spice or petals or anything that are coming up, you probably want to pull them out of there. That one made a little hole, but I can fix that. Okay, so then I'm going to take my glue again and just start working it over the top. You want to be gentle so you don't rip big holes in the napkins, in the napkin. And I'm just kind of dabbing at it. If I get an air bubble, I'll lay my brush down sideways and kind of push it down because I don't want air underneath there. The napkin will separate from the paper. So this is a bit of a process. See, I've got an air bubble right there. I did poke a hole there. I can come back and put a small piece of napkin over it. I'd rather have a hole there than an air bubble. So I'm going to just go over this whole thing. I'll speed this up. This most of the way with the heat tool. So I think you can see, I can see the little bits of that Angelina fiber in there, but you probably can't. But you can see the strings and the other stuff in there. So I like this one. It still feels pretty wet on the back at least. When it gets to this point, to where the glue's not sticking to your fingers, but it's still a little damp, you can push it down. If there's any air bubbles, you might be successful in getting those out. You can see I do have some spices coming out from somewhere else. They were on the napkin maybe. So now I can just take my scissors and trim this napkin. If it doesn't trim easily, then it's not dry enough. And I guess it's dry enough to cut. If this were on the larger piece of paper, and I think she used paper from like an encyclopedia or something, it looked like a coated paper. So trimming the edges, as I'm sure you know, then it would release the, yeah, that's still wet, that doesn't want to cut. It would release the paper from the back and you could just peel that paper up, but I don't mind the jagged edges. I'm going to let this dry better. I can always retrim it later. And caraway seeds in there and rosemary, so that might have been a little bit large. You can see like the eyelash yarn, or that yarn piece, the blue is in here is from that, the edges of that burlap. It smelled really good when I was drying it. Alright, I'm going to make a couple more. I'll just speed through them, but so that you can see it in like another colorway. It does make a mess. Okay, I just taped a couple of used pieces of deli paper to my mat here, so hopefully that will help with the sticking problem at the end. So I'm just going to get this paper covered, just like last time. I might use a little more glue this time. And I'm going to try going over this with my brayer to maybe get out any big air bubbles. There's one right there. That seems to be the biggest challenge with this technique, is get rid of the air bubbles. I'm going to start in the middle. Hopefully I can kind of push them out as I go, maybe. I imagine the amount of air bubbles you get is also going to depend on how big of inclusions you put in here. You know, the higher they stand up, the more apt they are to get some air trapped around them. Okay, the deli paper seemed to work better. It gave me a base. This is pretty much dry. I'm just cutting a little bit outside the edges of my actual paper. And then hopefully I can just get this deli paper off the back. And then I can finish drying it. Should stick a little bit, but not terrible. I can live with that, no big deal. So that one, I really like this one. I did have trouble with the spots where the yarn was, but it's not completely dry. It's dry enough that I can push it down without it lifting back up again. So I like the way it looks there with that yarn though, so I'm happy with that. That's a pretty one. Treasure Books used hers, and I think she may have done hers on a little bit heavier weight paper, but she used it as a journal cover and it looked really pretty. Check out her channel, you guys, and then there was also another channel that did this, but they referenced what did I tell you it was? The one that I have linked in the description. Treasure Books. They referenced her, so they also used her instructions. I'm just getting a little bit of extra deli paper off the edges here. So that looks really good. Where's my other one? This one is a lot more wrinkly, and it may be because of taping it down. I don't know. Because it was the same weight paper. Or maybe this one's just wrinkled up a little more. This one isn't completely dry. But I can imagine a ton of applications for using these. Yeah, this is drier now. It's cutting a lot easier. Just trim the edge of that. That's just napkin that's hanging off of this one. So try it if you want. I mean, there's any number of things that you can put in these on them. I wonder what it would look like with deli paper on top as opposed to the napkin. I might try one. Let's try one with deli paper. Why not? Got everything out, right? Have this just, it's got a little bit of speckle, and it's kind of an off-white with maybe a little bit of a bluish hint of blue. So I'm going to put deli paper's down for it to come out of there. It doesn't cover the entire thing, but that's all right. I'm going to go with it anyways. We'll just see how that works. And you can see, I think I can see the little bit of pattern that was left on this piece from the napkin. Maybe you can see better on that white paper. So I think of the three, this one you can see the most ghosting was from that napkin. So let's see what happens with that too. Boy, do I need to clean up around here, you guys. Alright, here we go again. My glue. And that little cup, so you know, was just about the right amount for 3 sheets, 8 by 10 sheets of paper. So okay, here's the one with the deli paper. I actually think I like it better than the one with the napkin. It's got kind of a ethereal feel to it. I'm recording!
Well, I didn't know.
So my son's yelling, I can't hear you. He's upstairs. Yeah, so either way, this one didn't tear like the napkin does. So that was a plus. And I did have kind of a big air bubble right here, so I put some more, even more watery glue and partially dried it, and then I turned it over and pressed really hard on this side all over when it was like 80% dry, and that seemed to get rid of any air bubbles. So yeah, I like it. I've got herbs everywhere. Or you can see the difference in these, you know, appear a lot darker as far as the inclusions go, where this one, well, plus this was on white paper with then the white deli, or the, you know, translucent, but white for all intents and purposes, it's white. So either way, do some both ways. I'm going to have fun using these for collage or whatever. So if you enjoyed watching this, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit my bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And share this video out if you have someone who you think might enjoy watching or learning from this. Share it to your Facebook groups or to Twitter or wherever you normally share. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.